What would you do if the person you married wasn't who they claimed to be? In a story of betrayal, scandal, and ultimate redemption, Jenny Steele uncovers shocking secrets that could destroy her life and her family's legacy. But this isn't just a love story. It's a battle against a ruthless enemy who will stop at nothing to see her fall. And just when you think the truth is revealed, another twist turns everything upside down. Can Jenny reclaim her power and clear her name before it's too late? Stay tuned, because this tale is about to take you on a roller coaster ride of emotions, drama, and triumph. The bustling coffee shop on Main Street was alive with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the soft hum of conversation. At a table near the window, Jenny Steele adjusted her designer handbag on the chair beside her, glancing at her watch. Another blind date set up by her relentless aunt. Another mundane encounter with yet another overconfident, underachieving man. Peter Smith arrived right on time, his casual attire and unkempt hair setting him apart from the polished professionals she usually met. With a grin that seemed both nervous and smug, he slid into the seat across from her. "You're the blind date introduced by Mrs. Zack, right?" Jenny began, her tone laced with faint disinterest. "I heard you've been on 8 blind dates already." Peter chuckled, his confidence unwavering. Yeah, you're Miss Jenny Steele, right?" Jenny raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. "Mr. Peter Smith? Your picture doesn't quite look like you." Peter leaned back, his grin turning sheepish. "You can tell, huh? Well, let's cut to the chase. With my status, I don't lack women. You must be after my money." Jenny blinked, taken aback by his boldness. "Mr. Smith, you're really ordinary yet so confident. You haven't even bought a house in Torland yet." Peter shrugged. "Not yet, but after we get married, if there's a need, I'll consider it." Jenny's laugh was sharp and incredulous. "After we marry, I'll consider moving to Mars if there's a need," she retorted. "Are you looking for a wife or a maid?" "Aren't they the same?" Peter replied, unfazed. "Oh, and by the way, I just bought a house. $3,000 a month mortgage. You'll have to help me pay it off." Jenny stared at him, her disbelief morphing into irritation. "Let me get this straight. If I marry you, I'd not only have to support your parents, raise the kids, and cook 3 meals a day, but also help pay off your mortgage. You're not looking for a wife, you're looking for charity." The encounter had turned into a verbal duel, with neither side giving an inch. Jenny's sharp tongue and Peter's blunt demeanor clashed like lightning against steel. "You know what?" Jenny said, standing up. "You're not even worth this Chanel dress I'm wearing." As she turned to leave, Peter smirked. "Well, Miss Steele, with all due respect, you deserve to stay single with that attitude." Jenny paused, glancing over her shoulder. "White is just a number. Relationships are about mutual respect and effort, not one-sided charity." "I couldn't agree more," came a voice from the next table. Warren Joan, impeccably dressed in a crisp navy suit, had been quietly sipping his coffee while overhearing their heated exchange. His piercing gaze met Jenny's, and a faint smile played on his lips. "Miss Steele, I'm Warren Joan. This is my resume," he said, sliding a business card across the table. "I heard what you said just now, and I quite agree with your views on marriage." Jenny studied the card for a moment, then her expression softened. "Well, Mr. Joan, you're the first person to make sense all day." Before they could delve further into their conversation, Jenny's phone buzzed. Her cousin's frantic voice spilled out. "Jenny, Mr. Peter Smith is furious. If you don't apologize, he says he'll never give you another chance." Jenny stifled a laugh. Who needs his chance? She hung up and turned to Warren. "So, Mr. Joan, what brings you to this circus of blind dates?" Warren's gaze didn't waver. "I have my reasons. Perhaps we can discuss them over coffee tomorrow." Before Jenny could reply, Peter, who had remained silent, suddenly spoke up. Why waste time? Let's make this quick. How about a contract marriage? It's just what we both need. Tomorrow 2 p.m., City Hall. Jenny hesitated, stunned by the audacity. A contract marriage? You're serious? Dead serious, Peter replied. Happy cooperation. See you at City Hall. Jenny glanced at Warren, then back at Peter. A flicker of something unreadable crossed her face before she nodded. Fine. Tomorrow at 2. As Peter walked away, Warren chuckled softly. Miss Steele, you never cease to surprise. City Hall was unusually quiet the following afternoon. The faint echo of footsteps and the occasional rustling of papers filled the sterile space. Jenny Steele arrived precisely at 2 p.m., her impeccable sense of timing matched only by her sharp outfit, a tailored beige blazer and pencil skirt that exuded professionalism and independence. She was determined to treat this arrangement as a mere business transaction. Peter Smith, clad in a simple button-up shirt and slacks, was already waiting near the registrar's office. His unassuming demeanor seemed oddly confident for someone proposing such a bizarre arrangement. Jenny approached with her signature stride, calm, composed, and intimidatingly graceful. Well, Mr. Smith, here we are, ready to sign your life away. Peter smirked. You make it sound so dramatic. It's just paperwork. Jenny couldn't help but laugh, her skepticism shining through. And why, pray tell, would a man like you, ordinary, broke, and clearly lacking ambition, want to tie yourself down with a contract marriage? Peter didn't flinch at her pointed words. Instead, he met her gaze directly. Because I don't believe in love, he replied simply. This is practical. We help each other, avoid the usual nonsense, and go our separate ways when it's over. Jenny arched a brow. Avoid the nonsense, huh? And what exactly do you bring to this arrangement? Peter's grin widened. I'll keep things simple, no drama, no expectations beyond the contract. And when this is done, I won't ask for a dime from you. Before she could respond, the clerk called their names, signaling it was time to proceed. Jenny hesitated for a moment, glancing down at the contract in her hand. It was clear and straightforward, outlining the terms of their unconventional agreement. 1. The marriage would last 1 year, after which either party could end it with no strings attached. 2. No romantic obligations. 3. Joint appearances at social events when required. 4. Privacy respected. No interference in each other's lives. She took a deep breath, her voice steady. Fine, let's do this. The ceremony was over in minutes. A quick exchange of vows, signatures on the dotted line, and a stamp of approval from the registrar marked the beginning of their contract marriage. Peter walked Jenny to the entrance, his demeanor casual. Well, Mrs. Smith, where to now? Jenny rolled her eyes. Don't get used to calling me that. I'm still Jenny Steele everywhere else. Fair enough, Peter said, adjusting the strap of his worn-out watch. Now, let's get something straight. I'm not moving into your fancy apartment, and I don't expect you to come slumming it in mine. Jenny crossed her arms. Good, because sharing living space wasn't part of the deal. As they stood there, an elegant black car pulled up to the curb, and the driver stepped out, holding the door open for Jenny. She turned to Peter. This is where we part ways for now. See you at the next scheduled appearance. Before Peter could respond, the sleek car sped off, leaving him standing on the sidewalk. A faint smile tugged at his lips as he muttered to himself, You're even feistier than I thought. Later that evening, Peter returned to his modest apartment, his mind still lingering on the events of the day. With a sigh, he opened his closet and pulled out a simple black suit. Inside the jacket pocket was a card embossed with gold lettering, Warren Enterprises. CEO, Peter Warren Joan. As he stared at the card, his lips curved into a sly grin. "Well, Mrs. Steele, let's see how long it takes for you to figure out who I really am." The next morning, Jenny sat in her spacious office at Steele Media Group, going over a stack of marketing proposals. Her assistant entered, placing a steaming cup of coffee on her desk. "Miss Steele, there's a gentleman here asking to meet you," the assistant said hesitantly. Jenny barely looked up. "Who is it? I'm not in the mood for any surprises today." The assistant's voice softened. "He says it's Mr. Smith, your husband." Jenny's pen froze mid-signature. Her head snapped up. "Husband? He came here?" "Yes, ma'am. He's waiting in the lobby." Suppressing a groan, Jenny stood and smoothed her blazer. "Fine, let's see what he wants." When she reached the lobby, there he was, Peter, looking perfectly at ease in his casual attire. The stark contrast between his relaxed demeanor and the marble and glass surroundings of her corporate empire couldn't have been more pronounced. Jenny strode toward him. "Peter, what are you doing here?" "Good morning, Mrs. Steele," he said with a grin, deliberately using her married name. "I thought we should go over our schedule. You know, public appearances, a few ground rules, contract stuff." Jenny sighed. "You couldn't have called or emailed?" Peter shrugged. "I'm old school. Face-to-face feels more productive." "Fine," she replied sharply. "Let's make this quick." They retreated to her private office, where Peter couldn't help but whistle at the grand view of the city from her floor-to-ceiling windows. "Impressive," he said. "You've done well for yourself." Jenny didn't bother acknowledging the compliment. "Spit it out, Peter. What's your agenda?" He leaned forward, his tone serious. "We need to attend a charity gala this weekend. It's a formal event. Since we're supposed to be a couple, we need to make it look convincing." Jenny arched a brow. "A charity gala? Let me guess. You got us invited through some construction site connection?" Peter's grin returned, this time mischievous. "You'll find out. Just be ready by 7 p.m. on Saturday. I'll pick you up." Jenny scoffed. "I'll meet you there. And don't embarrass me." Saturday evening arrived, and Jenny found herself slipping into a fitted midnight blue gown that hugged her figure perfectly. Her hair was styled into an elegant updo, and her diamond earrings sparkled as she inspected herself in the mirror. She arrived at the gala fashionably late, stepping out of her car and into the dazzling world of glittering chandeliers and champagne flutes. To her surprise, Peter was already inside, chatting with a group of sharply dressed individuals who didn't look like they belonged anywhere near a construction site. Jenny approached cautiously. "Peter, what's going on?" Jenny blinked in confusion. "Projects?" She glanced at Peter, her suspicion growing. "Peter, who are you really?" He smiled, his voice steady and composed. "I told you, Jenny. I'm Peter Smith, your husband." But something in his eyes hinted at much more, and Jenny couldn't shake the feeling that her ordinary broke husband wasn't what he seemed. The grand ballroom glittered with opulence, the soft hum of a live orchestra filling the air. Jenny followed Peter as he smoothly navigated the room, greeting influential guests with a familiarity that unnerved her. Every handshake and casual laugh hinted at a deeper connection, one that contradicted everything she thought she knew about him. Jenny leaned in as they walked. "Peter, this doesn't add up. Who are these people? And why do they act like you're someone important?" He turned his head slightly, his expression a picture of calm confidence. "Relax, Jenny. I told you, I'm just a man with connections." Before she could respond, a woman in a stunning emerald gown approached, her arms outstretched. "Peter, it's been too long," she exclaimed, pulling him into a warm embrace. Her tone was bright, her demeanor casual, but Jenny noticed her eyes flickering toward her with curiosity. "Miss Steele, "Meet Olivia Hart," Peter said, his voice even. "She's the owner of the Hart Foundation, the one hosting tonight's event." Jenny nodded politely, her mind racing. How does he know the event host personally? "And you must be Peter's lovely wife," Olivia said, her voice honey-sweet. "He's spoken highly of you." Jenny blinked, caught off guard. "He's spoken about me?" She forced a smile. "Well, Peter has always been full of surprises." Olivia laughed, the sound light and musical. "Indeed he is. He's been such a vital supporter of our work, always so generous." Jenny's heart skipped a beat. Generous? With what money? As Olivia moved on to greet other guests, Jenny turned to Peter, her voice sharp. "Generous? Care to explain that?" Peter smirked, offering her a glass of champagne from a passing tray. "Relax, it's all for a good cause." Jenny took the glass but didn't sip. "You're hiding something, and I don't like being left in the dark." Peter's smile softened, and for a brief moment, something genuine flickered in his eyes. "Patience, Jenny. All will be revealed in time." The evening continued with a lavish dinner, during which Peter was seated at the head table beside Olivia and several other high-profile guests. Jenny, feeling like an outsider, observed him from across the room. The way he carried himself, the confidence, the charm, the effortless way he commanded attention, made her question everything. "Ms. Steele," a voice interrupted her thoughts. A waiter handed her a folded note. "From Mr. Smith." She opened it cautiously. The neatly written words made her frown. "Meet me on the balcony in 10 minutes. Intrigued and slightly annoyed, Jenny excused herself and made her way to the balcony. The cool night air greeted her as she stepped outside, the city lights twinkling below. Peter was leaning casually against the railing, his tuxedo jacket unbuttoned, his tie slightly loosened. "You summoned me?" Jenny asked, her tone dripping with sarcasm. Peter turned, his expression unreadable. "I figured you'd want answers." "About time," she replied, crossing her arms. "Start talking." Peter hesitated for a moment, then sighed. "Jenny, I'm not the man you think I am." She raised an eyebrow. "Clearly." He chuckled softly. "What I mean is, this whole broke construction worker thing. It's a front." Jenny's eyes widened. "A front? For what?" Peter met her gaze, his tone serious now. "I'm Peter Warren Joan, Chief Executive Officer of Warren Enterprises, and this," he gestured to the Gala behind them, "is a world I know very well." For a moment, Jenny was speechless. The man she thought was an ordinary, unambitious nobody had just revealed himself to be one of the most powerful men in the city. She narrowed her eyes. Why the act? Why pretend to be someone you're not? Peter's gaze softened, and a hint of vulnerability crept into his voice. "Because I needed to find someone who wasn't after my money or my status. Someone real. And that's exactly what you are, Jenny. Real." Jenny stared at him, her emotions swirling. Confusion, anger, intrigue. "So, what now?" Peter's lips curled into a faint smile. "Now, we see where this takes us." Jenny stared at Peter, her emotions whirling like a storm. The cool night air on the balcony was a stark contrast to the fiery indignation rising in her chest. "Let me get this straight," she began, her voice trembling with a mix of disbelief and anger. "You lied about everything? About who you are? Your background? Your entire life?" Peter held her gaze, his calm demeanor faltering for the first time. "Yes, I lied," he admitted, his voice soft but steady. "But not without reason." Jenny crossed her arms, her eyes narrowing. "Oh, I can't wait to hear this reason. Did you think it would be funny to play the part of a broke construction worker just to see how people treated you?" Peter stepped closer, his tone growing earnest. It's not like that. My life, my real life, is surrounded by people who see me as a paycheck or an opportunity. Everyone is trying to gain something. I wanted to know if I could find someone who didn't care about any of that. Jenny scoffed. And you thought the best way to do that was by tricking me into a fake marriage? It's not fake, Peter countered quickly. We signed the contract. You agreed to this marriage. I just didn't tell you everything. Peter hesitated, then turned to her. There's a problem at Warren Enterprises. Someone leaked a confidential merger proposal to the press. Jenny frowned. And what does that have to do with me? Everything, Peter said, his eyes sharp. The leak mentioned our marriage as a reason for potential instability in the company. They're questioning whether I can focus on my work while being tied to someone like you. Her eyes widened. Someone like me? Peter raised a hand to calm her. I don't mean it like that, but they've painted you as a distraction, a gold digger. Jenny's face burned with indignation. Unbelievable! I didn't ask for any of this. If anyone's at fault, it's you for dragging me into your mess. Peter sighed. I know, and I'm going to fix it, but I need your help. Jenny laughed bitterly. Help? You want my help after lying to me about who you are and putting me in the middle of a corporate scandal? Yes, Peter said firmly, because whether you like it or not, we're in this together now. The press is going to scrutinize every move we make. If we don't look like a real couple, united, happy, this will only get worse. Jenny took a step back, her head spinning. The idea of pretending to be in love with Peter, the man who had just shattered her trust, was almost unbearable. But a part of her couldn't ignore the fire in his eyes, the determination that told her he wasn't going to give up easily. What do you need me to do? She asked reluctantly. Peter's expression softened, and he reached for her hand. Stay by my side. Attend public appearances with me. Show the world that we're a team. Jenny pulled her hand away. You're asking a lot, Peter. You've already lied to me. How do I know you won't do it again? You don't, he admitted, but I'm asking you to trust me, just this once. Before Jenny could respond, the sound of a camera shutter echoed from the shadows of the balcony. Both turned sharply, catching a figure darting away into the crowd inside. Who was that? Jenny demanded. Peter's jaw clenched. A reporter, no doubt. Jenny felt a sinking feeling in her chest. Great. Now this is going to be plastered all over the headlines tomorrow. Peter's voice was low and serious. Then we need to get ahead of it. Are you ready to face this with me? Jenny hesitated, her mind torn between anger and the strange pull of curiosity. Could she trust him? Did she even have a choice? The following morning, the tabloids exploded with scandalous headlines. CEO's secret marriage. Is this the end of Warren Enterprises? From rags to riches, the Cinderella bride or gold digger? Warren Jones' mysterious wife sparks controversy. Jenny tossed her phone onto the kitchen counter, her frustration bubbling over. Every article dissected her past, her career, and her supposed motives for marrying Peter. The pictures from the gala were front and center, one of her standing beside Peter, her expression tense, and another of them on the balcony, caught mid-conversation. The headlines painted her as a manipulative opportunist who'd trapped a wealthy CEO. Peter entered her apartment, dressed in a sharp suit that screamed power. He held a newspaper in one hand and 2 coffees in the other. I assume you've seen the headlines? He said calmly. Jenny glared at him. What was your first clue? The death glare I gave you when you walked in? Peter set the coffees on the counter. I told you this might happen. That's why we need a plan. A plan? Jenny scoffed. The plan should have been not dragging me into your mess in the first place. Peter sighed, running a hand through his hair. I made a mistake. I admit that. But right now, we need to focus on damage control. Jenny crossed her arms. her skepticism evident. "And what exactly do you propose?" Peter leaned against the counter, his voice steady and measured. "We need to do an exclusive interview. Together. Lay everything on the table. Our marriage, our motives. Spin the narrative before the media does it for us." Jenny raised an eyebrow. "Spin the narrative? You mean lie?" "No," Peter said firmly. "The truth, but on our terms. We'll talk about how we met, how we fell in love." Jenny cut him off with a laugh. "Oh, so now we're in love. That's rich, Peter." "Jenny," Peter said, his tone softening, "I know I've given you every reason not to trust me, but this isn't just about me. It's about you too. Your reputation is on the line. If we don't control the story, the world will believe you're exactly what the headlines say." Jenny hated to admit it, but he was right. Her career, her family's legacy, everything she'd worked for was now at risk because of one ill-conceived contract marriage. She exhaled sharply, her anger giving way to reluctant resolve. "Fine, but I'm setting the boundaries. If you lie about anything, I'm out." Peter nodded. "Agreed." That evening, the two of them sat on a sleek couch under the soft glow of studio lights. Across from them, the well-known journalist Clara Hayes prepared her notes. Known for her sharp wit and no-nonsense style, Clara wasn't one to let her subjects off easy. "Good evening," Clara began as the cameras rolled. "Tonight we're joined by Peter Warren Joan, CEO of Warren Enterprises, and his wife Jenny Steele. The world was taken by surprise when news of your marriage broke. Peter, let's start with you. Why did you keep your marriage a secret?" Peter's smile was practiced, but his voice carried genuine conviction. "Clara, I've always believed in separating my personal and professional lives. When Jenny and I met, it wasn't under typical circumstances. I wanted to give us the chance to build something real, away from the spotlight." Clara turned her sharp gaze to Jenny. "Jenny, some have accused you of being a gold digger, of marrying Peter for his wealth and status. What's your response to that?" Jenny met Clara's gaze without flinching. "It's easy to make assumptions about someone you've never met, but I've built my own career, my own life. I didn't need Peter's money then, and I don't need it now. What I want is mutual respect and partnership." As they left the studio, the cameras flashing around them, Jenny felt a strange sense of accomplishment. They'd managed to turn the narrative in their favor, at least for now. But as they stepped into Peter's car, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, his expression hardening. "What is it?" Jenny asked. Peter's jaw clenched. "It's not over. Someone's digging deeper into both of our pasts, and they're not playing fair." Jenny's heart sank. "What do you mean?" Peter turned to her, his eyes filled with worry. "They're targeting you, Jenny. Whoever's behind this wants to destroy you." Thank you for watching and diving into this journey with us. Be sure to catch the next episode, and if this story moved you, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more captivating African tales. Don't forget to tap the notification bell to stay inspired and connected to the wisdom and heart of these stories. Until next time, stay blessed and keep shining.